is Talkin' Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And by Brome, where bird feeding meets innovation. Discover truly squirrel-proof bird feeders, all backed by lifetime care commitment. Learn more at brome.com.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to our show number 976. We talked about Flaco the owl on the previous couple of shows, the Eurasian eagle owl who was a star of Central Park in New York until he crashed into an Upper West Side Manhattan building. Well, out on the West Coast, two other owl species are in the news. This one, the spotted owl, or specifically the northern spotted owl, whose population, despite numerous restoration efforts on its behalf, continues to decline, due in part to the incursion of an eastern owl species, this one, the barred owl, which has been outcompeting its slightly smaller northwestern relative. Well, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department has proposed a controversial plan to protect the spotted owls by shooting the barred owls by the hundreds of thousands. Is that the best way to address the problem? That's a question that a friend of our show, Scott McMorrow, asks in a piece he wrote for the Point Reyes Light newspaper in California. Scott has some interesting thoughts about the issue, and you can find his piece right now on our website. Just go to talkingbirds.com and click on the Read tab at the top of the page. That'll bring you to listener stories and Scott's article. Back in December, we reported on a story about a bird-killing spree in which two men, one from Washington State and one from Montana, were accused of killing more than 3,000 birds, including bald eagles and golden eagles, and then illegally selling the carcasses and feathers. Well, here's an update on that story. The Washington State man, Travis John Branson, reportedly intends to plead guilty to federal criminal charges, including conspiracy, wildlife trafficking, and unlawful trafficking of eagles. Branson faces years in prison and substantial fines under the terms of a plea agreement. He would also be responsible for complete restitution of damages. And the Montana suspect, Simon Paul, remains at large. Anybody remember this song? The great Ray Charles. Well, now let's move over Moon over Miami and make way for loon in Las Vegas. In case you hadn't heard, a yellow-billed loon, an Arctic nester that usually winters in Canada and extreme northern U.S., landed in Las Vegas last Tuesday and took to swimming in a man-made lake at the Bellagio Hotel and Casino. Here's an update on this story. On Wednesday, wildlife biologists captured the bird and relocated it unharmed to an unspecified remote location where they expect it to resume its migratory trek north. Meanwhile, the Bellagio's music and choreographed water spray show has resumed. Well, happy to say that we have two audio postcards to listen to, starting with one at kind of a challenging location sent to us by Emily Bueller. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Ray. This is Emily, and I'm standing under a tree at a rest stop off I-95 in North Georgia, and the tree is full of boat-tailed grackles. I don't know if you can hear them over the highway. They're all squawking.
Thank you, Emily, for that boat-tailed grackle audio postcard. It proves once again that you can find birds everywhere, even along Interstate 95. Not sure if that's the best route to take from North Georgia to Apopka, Florida.
but we're heading there nonetheless for this audio postcard from Kathy Wrigley.
Good morning. Kathy here from Central Florida. I'm at the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive, and I'm listening to a brown thrasher who is doing his repetitive two-note call that he's mimicking birds around our area. Also hearing common yellowthroat, lots of palm warblers, yellow rump warblers. It's a gorgeous day out here in Central Florida. Happy birding, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for that report there, Apopka, Florida. We'd love to get audio postcards, and if you'd like to send us one, please do. Pretty easy to do. Just go out wherever you're looking at birds, from your backyard to beyond. Do a little recording, 30 seconds to a minute on your smartphone or other digital device, and send us the file. Send it to Ray at talkingbirds.com. That's Ray at talkingbirds.com. That's our mystery bird. We'll be doing the actual contest a bit later on in the contest today. One more time today, the winner of today's contest will be eligible for drawing next week for a Vortex Viper HD 8x42 binocular. There's a retail price on that, around $500. That's a beautiful binocular. And if you win the contest today, you'll be eligible in the drawing next week. Here's a clue, or a set of clues, for our mystery bird. It's a crow-sized bird of warm water coastlines with a white face, neck, and underparts, an orange bill, a black cap that's visible in breeding season, and a shaggy black crest. Its back and wings are pale gray. Its legs and feet are black. Our bird breeds along the east coast from New Jersey to Florida, all along the Gulf Coast, and from Northern California to points south on the West Coast. Extra clue, this bird was mentioned as part of an audio postcard on last week's show. Clues there, and now some prizes. Our friends at Bird Collective point out that birding is a wildlife, but that you don't have to sacrifice style for comfort out in the field. One of our prizes is a $25 gift certificate from Bird Collective, your one-stop shop for vintage-inspired apparel and unique accessories, all featuring birds. And a big bag of our favorite coffee, shade-grown, bird-friendly, and delicious Birds and Beans coffee, grown under the natural forest canopy in Central America to preserve wintering habitat for warblers and tanagers and thrushes and hummingbirds and more of the birds that we all love. Prizes there and clues in the sound of our mystery bird. We'll do the contest just a little bit later on in this morning's show. And what do we have next here? We're keeping track, sort of. It's our conservation salute and some good news of the week. The salute goes to the European Union, which has reached a provisional deal on a new law to cut packaging waste and ban single-use plastics, like supermarket bags for fruit and mini shampoo bottles in hotels. Negotiators agreed on packaging reduction targets of 5% by 2030 and 15% by 2040, and that all packaging should be recyclable by 2030. By then, a ban will apply to single-use plastic items like plates, cups, and boxes in fast food restaurants, shrink wrap for suitcases at airports, and lightweight bags like the ones offered in markets for groceries. There will also be a forever chemicals ban on those chemicals known as PFAS in food contact packaging. Recent studies have revealed connections between exposure to these chemicals and a variety of health effects, some of them quite serious. So another step forward in cutting back the overuse of plastics, and a conservation salute to the European Union. Now a royal salute to Angela from Tucson, Arizona. our second ambassador from Tucson to welcome in the past 2 weeks to our Talking Birds Ambassadors family, folks who help us spread the word about birds and conservation, which is kind of what we try to do here on our show. You can sign up as a Talking Birds ambassador, as we always say. It's very easy to do. Just go to talkingbirds.com, click on the Get Involved button, and you'll see how to do it and join our 875 plus members of the Talking Birds Ambassadors family. Still to come today, is it true that some penguins do a lot of napping? We'll find out when our Debbie Bleacher joins us from the Talking Birds Science Corner. Also today, Mike O'Connor will be with us for Let's Ask Mike Live segment about woodpeckers tapping on houses, including his. And up next, instead of our usual featured feathered friend segment, we turn, as we occasionally do, to the musings of the great Batt from up in Heartland, Minnesota, although a particular bird species is featured here. We start with a seasonal note from Al, and then his observations about blue jays and pump handles. Al says, March was the first day of meteorological spring. The golden yellow of weeping willows is evident now. Want an adventure? Step outside. Go for a walk. I go outdoors and come back inside a different person. Jay or Jake? It wasn't Love Train, a 1982 hit by the OJs. What I heard were blue jays, handsome birds with substantial vocabularies. The vocal birds like to hear themselves squawk. What I heard were pump handle calls, or queedling. Queedle, queedle. The musical call has been likened to the sound of a squeaky clothesline, whistles, or a complaining pump handle. Jays learn the call of a hawk species that inhabits an area and then mimic it when they near a feeding station. That often causes the birds at the feeders to scatter, allowing the jays to have their pick of the food. An aggressive blue jay uses its loud calls, jay, gia, queedle, queedle, to alert others to danger. It's unknown whether jays develop this ability to warn others that a hawk is close or as a manipulative device. Many blue jays might be named Jay or Jake. The purpose of pump handle calls is to communicate distress or alarm. Blue jays emit these calls when they sense danger and when they want to alert other members of their flock of a potential threat. The nature of the call catches the attention of other birds and prompts them to be alert. The words of Batt and the sounds of Cyanata cristata, the blue jay. You can read more of Batt's nature-themed writing and feast on his fabulous photos on his website, albatt.com. That's Batt with 2 T's. albatt.com. Welcome again to our show, number 976. Our Debbie Bleacher is in charge of the Talking Birds Science Corner. We're about to visit and see what she has for us today.
Come up to the lab and see what's on the slab.
Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning, Ray.
Well, you told me off air that there's some new research that makes you wish you were a penguin. Is it tuxedo envy?
No, it's about naps. Oh. A study of chinstrap penguins on King George Island, Antarctica, shows that they take as many as 10,000 naps a day, 4 seconds at a time.
Wow. I'm not sure which is more amazing, the number of naps or the shortness of their duration.
Right? 4 seconds is really brief. I'd like to illustrate this for our listeners. So here's what 4 seconds feels like. Pretend you're napping. Wake up. Do you feel refreshed?
Not exactly. But would I if I were a chinstrap penguin?
Well, that is the key question. We've known since the 1980s that some other penguin species do take these little naps, which are called microsleeps, by the way. Captive little penguins and emperor penguins do this, but their naps are at least 10 times longer and they can't live on microsleep for long periods. But chinstrap penguins seem to be able to microsleep indefinitely.
And why would they want to or need to do this?
Well, the lifestyle of a chinstrap penguin is challenging, even for a penguin. They live in the same habitat as brown skuas, which like to eat their eggs. When chinstraps are incubating eggs, they need to protect the nest from skuas 24/7. Both parents take turns, but those turns last several days because one parent needs to forage for food, leaving the other parent alone on the nest watching for predators. I mean, could you sleep soundly in those circumstances?
I haven't tried it, but I don't think so. So when the second parent comes back to the nest, does the first parent finally get a good night's sleep?
No, the returning parent catches up on sleep because they tired themselves out diving for food. Then the incubating parent takes off foraging.
Wow. So how long can they keep on like this? I mean, isn't fragmented sleep harmful somehow?
You'd think so, right? But chinstrap penguins seem to be able to sleep like this for weeks or months. They do it even when they're not incubating, and it keeps them healthy enough to breed. No other bird or animal is able to do this, so research continues on why it works for chinstraps.
So the research, why is this research important?
Because sleep is still kind of a mystery. Every animal seems to need it, but there's really a spectrum of how much they need and how they get it. Even so, a bird that can live for a long time on 10,000 microsleeps a day is just unheard of. It pushes the boundaries of what's known about sleep. Oh, and Ray.
Yes.
I'd like to remind our listeners not to try this at home. Our brains can't survive on microsleep, as any parent of a newborn will tell you.
Yeah, and it's not recommended if you're driving or operating machinery. Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, my pleasure, Ray.
That's our own Debbie Bleacher there in the Talking Birds Science Corner. Up next, it's our Mystery Bird Contest in just 1 minute. The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com. That's our mystery bird. It's a crow-sized denizen of warm water coastlines with a white face, neck, and underparts, an orange bill, a black cap, visible in breeding season, and a shaggy black crest. Its back and wings are pale gray, and its legs and feet are black. Our bird breeds along the East Coast from New Jersey to Florida, all along the Gulf Coast, and from Northern California to points south on the West Coast. Extra clue, this bird was mentioned as part of an audio postcard on last week's show. The number to call is all important. It's 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900 for a chance to win a $25 gift certificate from Bird Collective, your one-stop shop for vintage-inspired apparel and unique accessories, all featuring birds, and a big bag of our favorite coffee, which helps preserve and save birds and is delicious as well. Shade-grown, bird-friendly Birds and Beans coffee grown under the natural forest canopy in Central America. Prizes, clues, and our mystery bird sound. And don't forget, too, if you win our contest today, you'll be eligible for the drawing next week for a Vortex Viper HD 8x42 binocular. 781-837-4900 is the number. Meanwhile, it's Let's Ask Mike live in just 1 minute.
Welcome to a world where bird feeding is enjoyable for both you and your feathered friends. Introducing Squirrel Buster Bird Feeders by Brome. Our innovative feeders are designed to keep squirrels at bay, ensuring that your garden birds get their fair share. And the best part? We offer lifetime care for every feeder, making your purchase worry-free. Transform your garden into a bird paradise and keep it that way forever. Sorry, squirrels. It's just for the birds this time. Visit Brome.com, BROME.com, to discover our full range of Squirrel Buster feeders and join the Brome family today. Brome, where birds come first, and our commitment to you lasts a lifetime.
Well, Mike O'Connor has probably helped, hundreds of people deal with the problem of woodpeckers pecking on their house. But what happens when they do it to his house? Let's find out. Direct from Cape Cod. Good morning, Mike.
Sorry, I was taking a nap. What was that?
You don't take 10,000 a day, or do you? Maybe you...
My wife does, I can tell you that.
All right, so listen, I know it's really springtime on Cape Cod, so you can't go back to your old trick of throwing snowballs at the woodpeckers. So what do you do?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a few months ago, on the same day. Now, I've given this advice for years to people who have had trouble. I think a lot of people have had trouble with woodpeckers banging on their house, and give out advice. And now it was my turn. On the same day, I had a flicker drumming on my roof, and I had a little downy drumming along the trim of the side of the house. And, because I was a trained professional, I did what my advice. I ran out and threw a snowball at it. and by the time I got in the house, the downy woodpecker was back drumming actually doing damage along the trim of my house. So I went in the basement, and I got a strip of wood. And this is a good, like a wooden yardstick, about that long, about that thin, just thin wood. And then I got some of this holographic scare tape. The scare tape isn't sticky tape. It's like a foil. It's thin. And gardeners use it to keep, we'll say, catbirds and robins out of their berry patches. It's highly effective. And I took about a half a dozen strips of this, maybe about 30 inches long, and I tacked them to this long strip of wood. And before I tacked them on the wood, I put a piece of vinyl, something like duct tape, on the end, because this holographic stuff tears easily. So I put a little bit of this on the end to keep it from tearing, and then I just stapled them along the edge of the boards. So it's hanging down like beaded curtains, or like something you drive through in a car wash, just streaming down. And I went up and I tacked them up, and I put the strip of wood over the spot where the woodpecker came, and when the sun hits this material, it's just radiant. It's just like laser beams shining in all directions. And no more downy. The downy said, I'm not dealing with that, and moved on. Eventually, I'm going to have to go up and putty the holes, because holes do attract more woodpeckers. But at this point, it was better than throwing snowballs. My house looks like Studio 54, but that's okay. And now in terms of the flicker, what was on the roof drumming away, that doesn't bother me, because it wasn't doing damage. It was I have solar panels, and they have aluminum frames, and they drum as loud as they can to stake out their territory or attract a mate. And I could hear this every morning, this loud drumming. But to me, it's like the sound of a cardinal singing or a robin. It was just part of nature. Wasn't doing me any harm. And I just let it go. I know customers get all worked up. Oh, it's waking me up. Oh, get over yourself. It's fine. And there's no damage on the house, and it's really good. So those are my advice. Number one, leave the flicker alone as long, because they'll drum on. They used to drum on TV antennas, but we don't have those anymore. But gutters or chimney caps, that's aluminum gutters, fine. And get some of that scare tape put along the trim of your house if you've got them doing damage. And eventually you have to fill in the holes, because, like I said, holes are what woodpeckers are attracted to in wood, and they want to investigate that. So you're going to have to fill those up.
So this tape, and I know you have that tape at the famous Birdwatchers General Store in Cape Cod, but for folks, other places are easy to find that stuff? Or?
Yeah, it's really easy. It's called holographic scare tape, but like I said, it's not sticky tape. It's like this thin foil, and you get it like at a garden center or any place you buy your gardening supplies, because they use it, like I say, to keep birds and other critters away from your garden. And I have a lady who has blueberry patches, and she streams it on there. She says it works great. But, so we use it for the woodpeckers, and it's getting into that season when they start banging on stuff. It's spring, so get ready for some of that, and they don't get headaches, so you're going to have to give them the light show.
That's what I hear. There's a book about that, but I forget who wrote it. Anyway.
I'll have to look it up. I'll let you know.
Holographic scare tape. Radiant as a Mike O'Connor smile when you visit the store.
I like that.
All right, Mike. Talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Okay, bye-bye.
Mike O'Connor at the famous Birdwatchers General Store. I guess we've established that on Cape Cod. 781-837-4900 is the number as we return to our mystery bird contest and maybe wrap up the contest here. It's a crow-sized bird of warm water coastlines with a white face, neck, and underparts an orange bill, a black cap that's visible in breeding season, and a shaggy black crest, back and wings pale gray. Its legs and feet are black, and Hannah is somewhere in South Carolina with an answer, and maybe the correct answer. We'll see. Good morning, Hannah.
Hey, good morning, Ray.
Good morning. How's South Carolina doing these days? Nice and warm down there?
Pretty good, pretty rainy.
Mm-hmm.
Just general spring weather.
Kind of sounds like Massachusetts. What do you think, Hannah, on the mystery bird contest there?
I think it could be a royal tern.
I think it could be a royal tern. Let me check. It is a royal tern. You sounded like you were pretty sure about that, and that's a good thing because it's right. And we have time for a bonus question. Would you like to try one? All right.
I can definitely try it.
This is kind of a timely one here. You know what? This is probably going to be too easy, but let's try it anyway. Among recent rare bird sightings, one stands out because of the unusual location for the sighting of a yellow-billed loon this past Tuesday, March 6th. Where was this bird seen and photographed? On the grounds of
I only know.
Yes.
There's a state, but California.
California? Well, wait a minute. I haven't given the options yet. A, on the grounds of the White House. B, in the parking lot of a shopping center in California. C, in a lake at the Bellagio Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. You say...
I think that would be C.
You're going to go with C. I think you missed this a little bit earlier in the show because actually it was C. Or did you say C?
I said C.
You said C. I don't know why I thought you said B because you were saying California. All right. A little slow on the uptake at this end, but we usually get to it eventually. Absolutely right. The Bellagio Hotel and Casino, as we described earlier in the show. All right. Hannah, thank you so much. If you'll stay on the line, Jesse will get your info, and we'll send you those prizes. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot this, too. You're eligible for the Vortex binocular drawing that we'll do on next week's show, so good luck on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, in South Carolina, correctly identifying whatever that bird was. Oh, yes, the royal tern is our mystery bird this morning. Well, if you'd like to help us keep our show surviving and thriving, please consider joining our Talkin' Birds Patreon. Full details can be found at patreon.com/talkinbirds. That's patreon.com/talkinbirds. And we are out of time for this morning's show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
The Bird Show. I like that.
Ray Brown's Talkin' Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
By Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty. Their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And by Brome, where bird feeding meets innovation. Discover truly squirrel-proof bird feeders, all backed by lifetime care commitment. Learn more at brome.com. birdsbirds.com.